Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and get ready for yet another exciting and trending topic. Today we are diving into something that making waves in the AI world, that is MCP, Model Context Protocol. So in this video we'll explore everything you need to know about MCP. So we'll break down this tutorial and we'll understand first what exactly MCP is, why it is used and what problem does it actually solve. Then we'll move with what happens behind the scenes when AI models communicating with MCP. Then why is MCP gaining so much popularity today and why it is being called future of AI. Then how does it make chatbot and AI communication smarter and more human-like? So grab a cup of coffee, sit back and let's understand the deeper architecture and the real power of Model Context Protocol and why it's being a game changer in how we build and interact with AI systems. So let's get started. So before we dive deep into understanding what MCP actually is, let's first break down the term itself, Model Context Protocol. So let's start with protocol. So as everyone knows, a protocol it simply means a set of rules or standards that need to be followed. Just like how we have traffic rules or the internet protocols, in this case, the protocol defines how the model and the client should be exchange the information. Then now next we have context. So basically the context term refers, it is nothing but the information or data we provide to the model. So this could be anything. For example, the person name, city, topic, or any past conversation, or even a user preferences. Context gives the model the background it need to be respond intelligent. And finally, the model. A model refers to any AI or language model, such as GPT or LLMs, large language models. These models are designed to understand and generate human-like responses. So when we put it all together, this model context API, or we call it as MCP, it means a standard way for client like app or chatbot to send a structured context to an AI model so it can understand, remember and respond in a smarter and more personalized way. So let's move and explore what MCP actually does behind the scenes and why it is such a big deal in the world of AI. So this is the official documentation of MCP where all the important information is clearly mentioned. MCP is an open source protocol that standardizes how application provides context to the large language model, we call it as LLMs. You can think of MCP like a USB-C port for an AI application, just like USB-C offers a standardized way to connect with different devices. This makes it much easier for AI models to understand the context, access the right information and responsible in meaningful way. So since we have already break down the term model context protocol earlier, so this should make more sense now. So in a simple term, MCP is a common language or interface that allows AI models to plug into different tools and data sources efficiently and consistently. And that's the beauty of MCP. It's not just a feature, it's a bridge between application and intelligent models. So now let's understand how this MCP server actually works behind the scenes. So let's assume client app like a chatbot, website or mobile applications want to interact with an AI model. Then what happens? Then the app sends a request to a MCP server and this request includes some important data such as user ID, conversation ID, the current user message and some additional context. Then the MCP servers receives this request and first it validates it. Then it builds a structured context package and combining the incoming data and any stored memory. The next, the MCP server forward this context to the AI model like GPT or any other LLMs. The AI model processes the context and generate a smart personalized response and send it back to this MCP server. And finally, this MCP server delivers this response back to the client. So this happens behind the scenes, how this MCP server works. So let's say you are using an AI assistant in an e-commerce app and you ask, I want to return my last order. Now there are two possible scenarios. The first scenario is with MCP server and the second is without MCP server. So let's understand what happens if we go with without MCP server or stateless AI. The bot doesn't remember any context, so it responds, can you please provide your order ID? This forces the user to explain everything again, and it's very frustrating. But let's assume, or let's take us next scenario, that with MCP server or context AI. So when the request is sent to MCP server, it includes some user ID and the conversation ID. Then this MCP server fetches the last order details from the memory. It packages everything and forward it to the AI model. And then the AI now knows what was the last order. And so he responds. It responds with some example. For example, he responded like, sure, I see your last order was pair of shoe and t-shirt. Which item would you like to return? So this feels smart and personalized response. So this happens if we use this MCP server. So this is the background, what happens behind the scenes if we are using this MCP server or without MCP server. So now let me show you a very basic but practical example how I implemented this MCP server on my local system. So I have created this MCP server that returns a weather information based on the user end. So I use this Node.js SDK for building this custom server. So in that I have created this index.js file, and in that main logic is present over here. So I'll show you how it works when we pass any input to and how the response will return. So there is also one file, that is mcp.json configuration file, where we define the server path and necessary settings. So for example, we need to enter the entire path where we created the server and commands and so on in menu. And in that, if you go on the settings, so there are a couple of options where you can see this MCP. There is one option, MCP. So if you click on this MCP, I have created this MCP server which is currently running. So this enabled. So you can enable or create your MCP server in this section or in this option, using this option, and then you can enable it and accordingly. So you can communicate with this AI models, or you can create your own custom, and accordingly you can respond back with customers or with clients request. So let's take how it works. Let's understand how it works. So let's enter what is the weather of Latur. Let's enter. So if you see, it is generating the request that we entered, and it will ask calling this MCP server. So I have created one custom MCP server. So using this tool, it will generate a response. So let's use this. So I'll use this run tool, and accordingly it respond back. So according to the weather data in Latur, currently temperature is 20 degree, the forecast is 24. So accordingly you can create your own custom respond or MCP servers, or you can communicate with this AI model. So in that, what I have created, if you see in this index.js, I have created this async function for to get weather, and in that I have just added this custom response. So if the city is coming, accordingly it will respond back to or return back a response to the client. So accordingly you can create your own custom response and MCP server. So that's it about this MCP server. So that's all about this MCP and the MCP server. So let's do a quick recap what we covered in this tutorial so far. So we started by understanding what MCP is, then we broke down to understand this what is protocol, what context is, and what is model. Then after that we explored why MCP is needed, what problem it solves, and how becoming a game changer in AI. Then we walk through how this MCP server works behind the scenes, where we include where we understood how it interact
with the AI models. And finally, I showed you a practical example of custom MCP server I created and returns weather reports, just to help you to understand how easily it can be implemented. So if you found this video very helpful, then don't forget to like, share and subscribe to support the channel. And as always, if you have any questions or doubt, feel free to drop them in the comment section. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care and have a great day.